Good afternoon. This is Media Center Ukraine, Odessa. We continue for today, and now we are having with us Oleksii Chornyi, head of the Coordination Humanitarian Headquarters of the Odessa region, who will share the report for January. After that, we will be able to communicate with the volunteers, the participants of the future mission Volunteer Landing 2.0. Good afternoon. This is our traditional report now for January. As for our activity in humanitarian area. This month was quite difficult because of the cold weather and power supply issues. And you know that there was a recent accident in Odessa rayon. That's why there was a need to increase the number of generators, winter clothes, winter equipment, etc. We continue our work, and now I would like to present our traditional report and briefly cover the main topics in January. As for transparency and openness, we continue providing information to Odessa residents about our activity. In particular, last month, 12,000 users saw our publications, and last month, we were also able to implement the idea related to transparency of the beneficiaries. On our website, you can now find the information about all decisions made by the humanitarian headquarters and all institutions, entities, NGOs, regional state administrations, municipal institutions, communities, and military units who got aid from us. So you can now get there the information about beneficiaries and the amount and nature of such aid. I think that this information is very important, increasing transparency, because there are a lot of questions about humanitarian aid. And now I would like to thank the Odessa State Regional Administration for readiness to be open, and for us to be able to inform residents about the amount of humanitarian aid we receive and the beneficiaries. Starting from this month, we will regularly update this table. As for volunteers, last month we registered 95 volunteers, including those working at our office and warehouses, including 54 men and 41 women. Our call center continues its activities. Today we've learned that not all calls are registered within our statistics, but we continue improving this reporting. Unfortunately, the statistics does not show all numbers. But anyway, we can see that we received a lot of calls about lack of power supply, so people are concerned about this. They report about the communities that have no power supply. We submit this information to the DTEC electricity supply company and the military administration. We observed a decreased number of calls at the beginning of January because of holidays, but now the number is gradually increasing. As for humanitarian aid, in January we received 505 pallets, And starting from the first day of our activity, we have already received more than 9,000 pallets, including 309 pallets last month with food, 78 pallets with goods for children, personal care goods, and 37 pallets with clothes and other items for the last month. Last month, we received no medication. We received humanitarian aid from different partners, including the United Arab Emirates with the support of the Office of the President, the State Property Fund, the state institutions warming up the country, and also Polish agency RARS and Ukrainian railway company Ukrzaliznytsia, whom helped us with the transportation. That's why Odesa Oblast was one of the first to receive 208 generators during the first day of the previous month. And it took us around 1 week to provide these generators to our beneficiaries in Odesa Oblast. And now I would like to share information about what institutions received generators. The Department of Science and Education, 10 generators, Department responsible for healthcare, 10, Department of Ecology and Natural Resources, 2, the Department of Digital Transformation, 10, Department of Social Protection, 1, Department of Healthcare, 10, and the hospital number 11, 5, Odessa State Administration, 19, Odessa State Regional Administration, 25, Podilsk Administration, 19, Berezivska, also 19, Belgrade Administration, 19, Belgorod Dniester Regional Administration, 19, Ismail Administration, 20. And the remaining generators will be also provided to the relevant institutions, those who are in need of our support to ensure their power safety and security. We have also received support from IRIX Foundation with the support of State Department of the United States. There were 23 generators that we provided to communities of the city and rayon. And there were other items of humanitarian aid for Invincibility Point, like power banks, electric kettles, torches, beds, mattresses, and other items. And these items were also provided to different beneficiaries. And you can find the detailed information on our website. If we are responsible for managing humanitarian aid, we always share this information on our website. There was a big consignment from UNICEF. In January, we received 200 boilers, and at the beginning of February, 450 heaters that were proportionally disseminated among beneficiaries in Odesa Oblast. And on this slide, you can see the information about the municipal institutions, educational institutions who received boilers and heaters and another aid. Lodz Voivodstva also provided us humanitarian aid for the military. These are military first aid kits, thermal clothes, sleeping bags, puffs, and linen personal care products, and 2 generators. And also meds. So we disseminated this aid among the national police and the armed forces of Ukraine. And as for the items for civilians, we have included these within our stocks on the warehouse. We continue traditional meetings at our headquarters. 2 days ago, we have a big meeting dedicated to the needs of rayons and communities. The representatives of organizations presented at Odessa region were at that meeting. We continue informing about the needs and our beneficiaries. I will share some details a bit later with regard to each rayon. You will find there the information about the types of goods for communities. But I would like to note that this month we started changing our approach to obtaining data for accounting and statistics. And now we focus more on verification of the real amount of population in communities requiring humanitarian aid who were displaced from other regions, and also the locals who need the support. In January, we received 30,000 food packages from WFP. And we based our activity on the data provided by different rayons, including the actual population of IDPs and actual local population who are in need of humanitarian aid. There were more than 30,000 food packages. We partially used our stocks from the previous year. And here you can find the information about the population in need. Belgorod-Dnistrovsky, 5,023 IDPs and more than 12,000 local citizens. And you can see the general population. Usual population in that rayon. Ismail rayon, more than 13,000 IDPs and 8,106 locals in need. And you can find information for other rayons. And as for Odesa rayon, there are 20,619 IDPs and more than 30,000 locals who are in need of humanitarian aid. So this is how we can proportionally disseminate aid in different communities, basing on the data submitted by the communities with regard to actual population in need. And we also receive data from the financial department as for the capacity coefficient of the communities. In simple words, this is the ability of communities to buy products by themselves. And using this information, we disseminate food packages. This program is ongoing. We have agreed for specific volume within 30,000. Perhaps the number will be decreased during summer. But anyway, within this program, according with our agreements with the communities, they provide us the information about their stocks, and they disseminate these food packages among those who are in the most need. We also have the information about all rayons or districts. We asked them to provide information about IDPs and locals. On this slide, you can see information about Odessa rayon, the amount of food packages, personal care items, clothes, diapers, linens, towels, heaters, generators, animal feed, diapers for adults, shoes for men, women, and children. These data were submitted in pieces, pellets, or kilos, depending on the category of items. And we have this information for all rayons. For example, here you can see the information about Podilsk, Rozdilna, and other rayons. We also share this information with our donors. We also received information from the communities about the amount of humanitarian aid provided and about the stocks that each community has at its warehouses. That information allows us to make forecasts for upcoming 3 months, depending on the amount of people in need and the capacity of communities to buy specific items. We have some reserves or stocks at the level of the whole oblast in case there are emergency situations. This will allow us to survive for a certain period of time with these stocks. As for these stocks, as of the 3rd of February, we have more than 1,900 pallets, including 1,178 pallets with food. There are also goods for children, personal care items, and clothes and textile to the amount of 320 pallets. As of the 7th of February, there are more than 171,000 IDPs in the oblast, but I would like to emphasize once again that this is the registered number. We also have other numbers about those people who are physically here. The number is significantly smaller. 30% are children and 3% are people with disabilities. Traditionally, the biggest number of people, 2/3, are in Odesa rayon, including 62,000 in the city of Odessa. We saw an increased number of people because of the liberation of Kherson on 11th of November, and IDPs from Kherson Oblast are still coming to Odessa. In January, we provided humanitarian aid more than 83,000 times. So this means that this is the people who received humanitarian aid at least once on the territory of our oblast. As for food packages program, more than 36,000 of packages were provided. We would like to provide information about the support from the IOM, and today we've received the delegation at our headquarters. They provided mattresses, kitchen packages, lamps, tents, plastic buckets, etc. We have already disseminated all these items equally in different rayons of the oblast. There were 300 of kitchen sets, canisters 970, more than 1,000 lamps, and more than 900 plastic bags and 350 tents. So we provided different amounts to different rayons according to their needs and requests, and you can find the detailed information on our website. Now we are waiting for the next consignment of aid from the IOM, which is one of the UN agencies. We are waiting for the wagons with 5,000 winter sets, including packages including linen, towels, blankets. These packages will be firstly disseminated among IDPs. Traditionally, we have a lot of events, including events for children, that we host in our humanitarian headquarters. We have different workshops, performances, etc. And traditionally, we continue supporting our military, and I've already mentioned that our Polish friends provided support to the military of Ukraine, and we disseminated it further for the armed forces of Ukraine and the national police. This is all on my side. If there are any questions, I'm ready to answer your questions, but we have the second part of our today's event or briefing. If there are no questions, we can start presenting the second group of the volunteer landing. So please join Oleksii. Now I would like to share details about one of our important projects that started as experiment, but the results were rather successful. That's why we decided to continue. During our last humanitarian mission in Kherson Oblast on the 26th of November, when we brought 4 trucks with humanitarian aid to Novo-Alexandrovsk community, the city of Kherson, and Belozersk community, we met there with the management of Oblast, with Mr. Yanushevich, who was the previous head of the administration, who said that there was lack of staff at his administration because there were 600 persons working in peaceful times at that administration, but only 60 were left after the start of the full-scale invasion. So that's why there were no people who could organize provision of humanitarian aid and provision of different services and solving other issues. That's why we had an idea in our headquarters. We involved NGOs to implement the project named Volunteer Landing. So we decided to offer to Odessa residents and actually to all Ukrainians to send kind of a experimental group to the city of Kherson to work there together with local authorities and to help those authorities who continue working and continue dealing with the consequences of occupation and shelling. I have the representatives of that group, and these volunteers will share their experience. But I would like to say that the first experiment lasted for 10 days, and we received a lot of positive feedback from the representatives of state authorities. That's why we decided to continue the practice. When our volunteers returned after the first mission, we discussed the necessity of organizing the second mission. The process is ongoing now. And now I would like to give floor to our volunteers to share their experience about the first landing, and then we'll tell about our plans for the future. Good afternoon. My name is Alexander. I'm a curator of the first mission and the initiator of the second mission called Volunteer Landing 2.0. When we were in Kherson with the first landing, we saw that people and the city needed support, that there was lack of working hands and communication. And that's why we decided to have the second mission, basing on the results of the first one, to support Kherson, which is in need of our help. Of course, we understand that this is quite dangerous because of constant shelling, but when you see with your own eyes the situation in the city, please share the details, what you saw, what you did there. We did a lot of things. We packed humanitarian aid, and we also evacuated people and put them on trains. So there was the whole range of activities there. And it is really very difficult. The situation is difficult in this city because people, they really need our help. That's what I can say. What type of help they need? What people told you what was their response to your activities. Their reaction was different in different districts and areas, but generally people were very thankful. Some of them were shocked when they saw some usual people, just boys and girls from different cities of Ukraine who came there to support them in Kherson. I can also add a few words. When Kherson was liberated on the 19th of November, I traveled there on the 26th of November with my own headquarters. The city was generally intact, and our first impressions were not that bad, so to say. But when we returned to Kherson as the part of volunteer landing, we saw a different situation because already there were constant shelling. There was constant shelling, and quite often missiles hit residential buildings. That's why the city needs support, and the amount of that support is increasing all the time. And the positive feedback of local authorities is logical. And actually, I fully support the idea of organizing the next mission, and I will participate in it. My name is Mikhailo Barkar. I also participated in volunteer landing, and I fully agree with my colleagues. There are new challenges, new risks emerging all the time, and we need to respond to that. And the biggest problem is there is a lack of people who want and who are ready to work under that conditions. The conditions are very difficult there. There is constant risk of shelling, and the amount of work is significant. So there is quite a significant physical and emotional pressure. But we are ready to provide our support, especially to Kherson. That inspired all Ukrainians at the beginning of the full-scale war. And we would like to thank its residents. And I think that this is a must to support these people if we have such opportunity. If there are people who want to join us and to support us in Kherson, you are more than welcome, because there is a lot of work to be done there. I would also like to add that there are a lot of people in the city, around 70,000 people. Mainly, these are elderly people who say they have nowhere to go, and they are not ready to leave their homes because they've lived in Kherson their whole life, and they want to die in their hometown. But there are also families with children, unfortunately, and one of the mission of our volunteers is information campaign, sharing details about the evacuation procedure, which was organized by the local administration. And in the end, at the end of previous year, the evacuation was to Khmelnytska Oblast. And there is a constant problem with power supply in the city. And there are people who cannot just go outside. That's why they need food, water, medication, and we need people to visit those who are staying there to ask about their needs. We have report about the first mission, we have statistics, we have videos, we can provide information about how many food packages were prepared, the amount of water disseminated, so we have the detailed information about humanitarian aid provided to locals. There were 11 members of the first team from Odesa and Kyiv, and there were 2 foreigners, the citizens of the UK and the citizens of the United States, and also we had 7 more persons that joined us in Kherson. The guys, they have not mentioned this, but they were under shelling several times. They had vests, but unfortunately we could not provide helmets. But now we'd like to provide them with helmets. diplomats. The mission lived in Mykolaiv. Every day we went to Kherson early in the morning and then came back to ensure their safety, and we also provided food to our volunteers. In Mykolaiv, we were supported by a hospital. People were accommodated, our volunteers were accommodated in the new building of the Mykolaiv hospital. I would like to thank them for supporting us. Now we are preparing the second part of this volunteer mission. And we would like to invite people all over Ukraine to join us. We have not made any announcements yet. We just inform our friends, and we have already received 20 applications from different cities. We have already interviewed them preliminary. They learned about the conditions of the mission, and they understand now that this is rather dangerous. We also explained them our requirements to volunteers. We also informed them about their tasks there. And actually, we also provided them information about their physical condition, and that they also need to be able to provide first aid in case of injuries. Now we have 7 people from Kyiv, 6 from Odesa, 3 from Lviv, 2 from Kherson, 1 from Zaporizhia, and 1 from Rozdilna, which is also a city in the Odesa Oblast. We are planning this mission for 2 months, so this will be a longer project, and then we will understand if we need to have the third mission or not. 4 persons are ready to stay longer than 2 months, 2 persons for 1 month, 9 people for 1 week. And 3 people are ready to stay there for more than 1 week. So we have now the list of volunteers. We have also prepared tasks for them that include dissemination of humanitarian aid, packaging of humanitarian aid, unloading and uploading humanitarian aid, providing information to the local population, collecting information, and some other tasks that volunteers will directly receive from Rayon administrations in the city of Kherson. During the first mission, we also received feedback from locals and from deputies that Oblast has even more problems than the city itself. The villages, they are in need of humanitarian aid. That's why part of the group will travel to the villages around the city of Kherson to see the situation there and to provide this information to the local authorities to solve all the issues. There was also a request to us from the state administration, to the regional administration, to organize activities of humanitarian headquarters. That's why we will involve our volunteers in organizing this work and to support with this task the representatives of local authorities. Today, I've communicated with the representative of the state military administration in Kherson, who asked all volunteers, especially those who understand how to repair electrical networks, and also volunteers with the driving licenses of the special category, so those who can work on tractors, cranes, excavators, to join this new mission, because there is equipment, but there are no operators. And so we learned about this. We've learned about this need today, and I would like to emphasize that because of constant shelling, there is a need to clear up debris, to repair power supply lines. That's why we're in need of such professionals. Those people who are ready to stay and work there will be able to get jobs there. But now we need at least people who are ready to stay there for at least 1 week. So please join the mission. This time, we are planning to provide accommodation for people in Kherson. We've received a big consignment of armored vests and helmets, and we hope that this will be enough. We're also ready to share these items with the municipal services because people work outside under shelling, and they risk their lives. Together with our partner organizations, we will also provide food for our volunteers, but now we have the issue with the transportation because most municipal means of transportation were just stolen by the occupiers. And that's why administration cannot support us with vehicle. That's why I would like to address all citizens of Kherson who have left Kherson Oblast and other people who are ready to provide us with passenger cars, some buses for our use. And also we need equipment like notebooks, and we are also ready to accept financial support. We will provide you with the contacts of NGO who is ready to raise money and to ensure the supply of the items needed for our volunteer landing. We believe that this is a good example and practice for Ukraine in general, because we will have other liberated cities, and if we will be successful in organizing the groups of volunteers who are ready to work under crisis conditions, this will have a positive impact on lives of people who are still who reside on liberated territories and who need our support. We are now ready to answer your questions about report or volunteer landing. Are there any questions? After the briefing, the journalists will be able to communicate with our guests, and this is it for now. And we would like to wish you a successful and safe mission with good results. So please stay tuned to follow our announcements. We will have some interesting events tomorrow and the next week.